Okay, I distinctly remember the day when my father and my aunts and uncles made the decision to allow my grandmother to drive again after a 10-year hiatus. Now, her eyesight and her reaction time weren't what they used to be, so they realized the risks. Luckily, she agreed to only driving short distances, but again, they still saw the risks of her driving. Now, unfortunately, decisions like this have to be made every day. But, some of you maybe even had to deal with similar situations in your family. But one thing we have to realize is driving with a license is a privilege and not a right. Sometimes we do lose sight of that. But for elderly drivers, we really need to enable stricter laws for the renewal of licenses. So today, I want to talk to you about why seniors are more likely to get into vehicular accidents, why now is the time to implement and change policies, and I want to give you what I think is a great solution and some information on who we can contact for this cause. So George Lewis, a correspondent for MSNBC, stated that drivers 70 and older have the second highest incidence of traffic fatalities of all age groups, about 25 deaths per 100,000 population. The only riskier group is teenagers, with a little over 30 deaths per 100,000. So why is it more likely for seniors to get into these vehicular accidents? I want to talk to you today about 3 different things. First, vision. Obviously, vision is very important when you're driving a vehicle, even peripheral vision. But when we get older, things such as cataracts, glaucoma, and strokes really affect us. Even glare from other cars or other objects can affect seniors more than the average person. Second, I want to talk about cognition. This has to do with things such as memory and attention. As we get older, sometimes we have a lot of medications that we're taking, and this can really take a toll on our cognitive skills. And third, I want to talk about motor functions, such things as strength and flexibility. And with age and certain musculoskeletal diseases, such as arthritis, which I know is pretty common in elderly people, that can really affect our motor functions. And this was all taken from the American Medical Association. So now I want to explain to you why now is the time to implement policies. I have a quote here from Robert Davis and Anthony DeBarros from USA Today. And they stated that the U.S. Census Bureau projects there will be 9.6 million people 85 and older by the year 2030, up 73% from today. Road safety analysts predict that by 2030, when all baby boomers are at least 65 years of age, they will be responsible for 25% of all fatal accidents. And to give you kind of a comparison, in 2005, there was only 11% of fatal crashes from people of that age. To add to that, Peter Crosta from Medical News Today had a quote from Gerald McGuinn, who has a PhD from the University of Alabama at Birmingham. He said older drivers represent the fastest growing segment of the driving population. Something else we need to keep in mind is that older people represent a really large voting demographic, so if we were to change these laws years and years later, they would probably be the first to vote down any kind of ordinances we would want to change. So now I want to give you what I think is a great solution, and here are the stipulations. So once we reach 70, I think we should renew our license every other year. Right now in New Jersey, it's about every 4 years. The most important part is they should renew in person. And again, I have a quote from Davis and DeBarros, who stated from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety that the only measure scientifically proven to lower the rate of fatal crashes involving elderly drivers is forcing the seniors to appear at motor vehicle departments in person to renew their licenses. Furthermore, these seniors need to submit kind of documentations, eye examinations, physicals, things such as that, so that the motor vehicle agencies can really see if they're healthy enough to drive. I want to give you a quick example from Florida. In 2004, they required drivers ages 80 and older to submit vision tests. There was some data from both the U.S. Census Bureau and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration from colleagues of Gerald McGuinn from the University of Alabama, like I stated before. And what they found was a 17% death rate decline from the years 2004 to 2006. Now I have to note there's no direct link between visual acuity and vehicular accidents, but this is a good example for us to go by to see that changes really can occur if we take action. Here I have listed, a few people of who we can contact. I have here, sorry about this, I have the Office of Legislative Services, Office of Public Information, I have the Division of Highway Traffic Safety Headquarters, and then our District Congressman John Runyon on a more local level. So before I talk to you about how my grandmother's starting to drive again, but I want to give you a more specific example. A few years ago, both my grandparents were driving in the evening, and my grandfather was driving, and he swerved off the road into a ditch, and they landed on the roof. So my parents were locked in their seatbelts upside down. Luckily, they could live to talk about it. They didn't become a statistic, but they very well could have. So that's why I'm really passionate about this, and I hope you guys feel the same way. I want to reiterate some things about why crashes are likely for seniors due to things such as vision and motor function, why now is the time to change and initiate policies before all the baby boomers reach 65 and older, and I want you to really think about this solution and take action. If you have elderly loved ones, consider what driving issues they may have. Have you noticed their driving deficiencies? If so, take notice and take action. So now I will take any questions you may have for me. Yes?
How do you think that senior citizens would react to your proposal?
Well, I really think the seniors who are in good health, obviously, they're not going to be too happy about this because they're not going to want to go to the DMV every 2 years. But I think it's good for them to get in the habit because if their health does deteriorate, they'll be used to going, they'll be used to submitting all these tests and doing these new regulations. But at first, I don't think many of them will be very happy to be visiting the DMV that often. Unfortunately, yes.
How often do most people go between getting their license renewed?
For New Jersey, it's 4 years. So that's what we have here. Other states, I think the average is between 4 and 6 years. So we're about on par with other states. Anybody
Well,
else?
I think I'm the oldest one here. And I drove for a number of years, but I'm 93 now and I don't drive anymore. Because I could find the little difference as I was starting to drive at an older age.
That's really good.
You know.
Yeah.
So,
Luckily, my grandmother was doing decent with it, so.
Yeah. And then I had friends who had cars.
Yeah.
So I was able to go with them if I had to do shopping or whatever.
Right. That's a good thing, like carpooling, doing different
Right,
things like
right.
that is a really good idea. But I'm glad you made that comment. Thank you very much. And thank you guys for listening.
Okay.